North Olympic Peninsula's news station. News Radio KONP Port Angeles Squim, AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3, a Radio Pacific station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. President Trump, in an interview with Bloomberg, says it's highly unlikely he'll extend the ceasefire if a deal's not reached before Wednesday night's deadline. Iran, though, making it clear talks are not happening yet, and the temporary ceasefire runs out Wednesday. The Strait of Hormuz mostly blocked with few tankers getting through. The uncertainty sending oil prices up again. Patrick DeHaan of Gas Buddy says that means fuel prices will rise again.
Oil prices now in a position to push gasoline prices back above the $4 a gallon mark. We briefly saw the national average below the $4 mark over the course of the weekend, but a lot of states likely to start seeing prices again climb here early this week. That due to oil's jump today.
The Defense Department shows the number of U.S. troops wounded in the war with Iran has climbed to 415. That's up from 399, the increase due to delayed reporting of injuries. Following last week's resignations by former House members Eric Swalwell and Tony Gonzalez, the House Ethics Committee is urging anyone who has suffered sexual misconduct by members of Congress to come forward.
In a lengthy statement, the House Ethics Committee says it's dedicated to maintaining a congressional workplace that's free from sexual misconduct. The bipartisan panel is positioned to recommend sanctions, but it notes it loses its jurisdiction when members resign. In the past 9 years, the committee says it's opened investigations into 20 allegations of sexual misconduct against members of the House.
ABC's Stephen Portnoy. In California, L.A. County District Attorney Nathan Hochman announced charges against singer-songwriter David, whose full name is David Burke. He's been charged in the murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 14-year-old whose body police say was found in the singer's trunk of his car last year. Charges include first-degree murder along with a special circumstance. In parts of the Midwest, residents cleaning up after a tornado outbreak this weekend. More volatile storms are expected today. You're listening to ABC News.
I know that hiring can be challenging. You sort through tons of resumes and you get too many so-so applicants. You're just waiting for someone to match your role perfectly. Well, now, there's a place where you can meet them fast. ZipRecruiter.
Need to hire right away. Start your search for strong candidates. The right fit awaits. Build your team. Build it sooner. Your match on ZipRecruiter.
Just head to ZipRecruiter.com/free right now to try it for free. And you're on your way to meeting your match. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. So try it now. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. Once again, that's ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Meet your match on ZipRecruiter. Try it free.
The skydiver performing its Saturday football game at Virginia Tech University and crashed into a stadium scoreboard is speaking out, saying he was thrown off course by winds and left dangling from his parachute. Pasha Palanker was carrying an American flag during that pregame ceremony. The school says he received medical treatment on site and will recover. Here's ABC's Rena Roy.
While serving in the Army, Palanker received a Bronze Star for stopping a suicide bomber, saving the lives of 17 soldiers. He says he was forced to medically retire as he struggled with PTSD and found a new calling in skydiving.
It's a ton of pride for me to fly an American flag into an event with thousands of people watching us do that.
Palanker says he was trying to avoid landing in the crowd. In Louisiana, grief counselors at the school in Shreveport, where 8 children who were killed over the weekend attended, police call it an act of domestic terrorism and say the suspect is the father.
The murders of 8 children, ages 3 to 11, marks the deadliest mass shooting in the United States since 2024.
It's going to be a while for this community to get back on its feet.
Shreveport City Council member Alan Jackson Jr.
It's the worst probably in Shreveport history, definitely the worst in my 43 years of being alive.
31-year-old Shamar Elkins was the father of 7 of the victims. The 8th was a cousin. Elkins was killed by police after a car chase. Jim Ryan, ABC News.
Police say 2 women, including the mother of the children, were shot and injured as well. Michelle Franzen, ABC News.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
Townward live from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, April 20th. A mail theft investigation now underway in Clallam County after deputies served a search warrant at a home east of Port Angeles. According to the Clallam County Sheriff's Office, deputies went to a residence in the 6000 block of Old Olympic Highway about 3 p.m. April 16th, assisted by the Department of Corrections and the Olympic Peninsula Narcotics Enforcement Team. Investigators say the warrant is tied to an ongoing case involving stolen mail and financial documents. Well, during the search, deputies recovered items believed to be connected to that investigation. People at the home were detained and questioned, but then released. So far, no arrests have been made, and the case remains active as detectives continue to follow up. The sheriff's office is also reminding residents to take precautions against mail theft, including picking up mail promptly, using locked mailboxes, and reporting any suspicious activity right away. And anyone who thinks they may be a victim of a mail theft is being encouraged to contact the Clallam County Sheriff's Office. A proposed overhaul of Clallam County's environmental health fees is headed to the Board of Health tomorrow, and it would mean higher costs for a range of permits and services. The plan would replace the current fee schedule and tie future increases to inflation, including an initial nearly 3% bump and a new 5% technology fee. Several individual fees also would go up. Hourly administrative rates would increase from about $102 to $115, while food establishment inspection fees would climb, smaller restaurants going from about $294 to well over $315, and larger operations reaching into the $700 plus range. Temporary food permits would shift to a tiered system, with some fees approaching $300. And septic system charges would also increase, including construction permits, moving from about $424 to $550. Health officials say the changes are needed to keep up with rising costs and modernized systems used for permitting and inspections, while adding automatic annual adjustments and regular reviews to avoid larger spikes in the future. The Board of Health will take public comment on the proposed fee schedule before making a decision, and that meeting is at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon at the Clallam County Courthouse. Now, with a look at some things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys with his weekend wrap-up.
No building checks were shown in police logs Friday because the 5 building checks of Friday took place between midnight Friday and 2:15 Saturday morning. Saturday's building checks numbered 18, but 17 of those took place Sunday between midnight Saturday and 3 o'clock in the morning Sunday. Equally interesting was the lack of weekend disturbances. Only one report from East 4th, 10:30 Saturday night. Authorities did respond to a suicide attempt or threat midnight Friday in rural Port Angeles, the same Saturday night at East 9th. 10 traffic accidents, mainly fender benders, were processed starting at 1:25 Friday afternoon at a popular location for such an event, 8th and Lincoln. 2 hours later, there was a crash at Oak and Railroad Avenue. Then out into the rurals, there was a crash at Camp Hayden Road and Deer Tracks Roads, and back into town at Front and Ennis, First and Albert, and North Baker. Squim area crashes were witnessed on Kerner Avenue, West Washington, the Atterbury Road Echoes Lane intersection, and finally at very rural Slab Camp Road, where traffic is increasing dizzily and accidents multiplying staggeringly. Why, they've already had 2 accidents there in 2 weeks. In the good old days, it would have taken months to register 1 accident. But still, with motor vehicles, police found 1 alcohol-propelled driver behind the wheel 4:30 in the morning Friday and issued an arrest ticket at Dempsey Road and Highway 112. In a different area, 2 citizens filed complaints of threats to their well-being. It appears that someone didn't stop with a mere threat and assaulted somebody just after midnight Friday in the 100 block of West Front. Finally, we're beginning to be amazed at the lack of traffic accidents in that annoying Fish Passage project in Baker Dip. There was one this past weekend in that general area, but more had been expected for over a year, and the expectation continues now that the looky-loos have a lot of progress to look at, enormous progress, developing into a highly attractive new east entrance into Port Angeles. If the already finished similar projects east of Squim can be any example, they are beautiful. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News.
It's 2026, and your Wi-Fi is still buffering, still freezing, and you're still asking, why is this so slow? Time for an upgrade. Only Penn has been building the internet on the peninsula since the early days. Before streaming, before we expected everything right now. They've got the blazing fast network. But if your router's older than your coffee maker, that might be the real culprit. Dead spots in the hallway? Buffering in the living room? No connectivity in the kitchen? That's not the internet. That's your equipment. Ole Penn's local team of tech pros are real people right here on the peninsula. They'll actually listen, diagnose, and fix the problem. With Ole Penn Wireless, you get blazing speeds, quick installation, and plans starting as low as $39 a month, with speeds up to 50 times faster. Ole Penn, everything internet, connecting the Olympic Peninsula to the world. Visit olepenn.com.
In other news, King County elections officials are investigating how hundreds of ballots were found near a dumpster in Renton before ending up with the state Republican Party chair. About 400 ballots, most unopened and unmarked, were delivered Thursday to the Bellevue office of the Washington State Republican Party. That according to Chairman Jim Walsh. The ballots were tied to elections between 2022 and 2025. Walsh posted a video online calling the discovery evidence of security issues and renewed his push to end mail-in voting. He said a concerned citizen found the ballots in February and then later passed them along. Now, state and county officials say they were never contacted about the discovery and would have immediately investigated. Secretary of State Steve Hobbs said posting on social media is not the proper way to report potentially mishandled ballots. Still, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service and the King County prosecutor now investigating the case. April is Fraud Prevention Month, and new data shows fraud continues to be a big concern for people of all ages, with nearly 4 in 10 people saying they've already experienced it. Isabel Charlet has more.
The data from AARP also shows growing confusion and overconfidence around artificial intelligence-driven scams. Kay Tomlinson with AARP Washington says scams largely haven't changed how they operate, but they have been supercharged by AI.
AI makes fraudsters more believable and more efficient. Now, one person with the help of AI can implement multiple scams on multiple people all at one time, pretty much with the click of a button.
Tomlinson calls the financial impact on residents breathtaking. The latest data from the FBI shows that Washington residents lost nearly $460 million last year to fraud. AARP Washington is hosting a number of fraud prevention events this month, and people can find more information online. Tomlinson says she is disappointed that Washington failed to pass a law regulating crypto kiosks this year, another popular tool for scammers. She adds whether it's investment, romance, or grandparent scams, fraudsters are counting on people's inexperience. She advises people to be more skeptical when it comes to the communication they receive.
You need to listen to that voice in the back of your head saying, Kay said to not believe everything I see and hear, especially on social media, but also text, email, phone calls.
Tomlinson says identity theft is the most common type of fraud, and one of the most powerful tools people have to prevent it is freezing their credit so that scammers can't make big purchases in their name. She explains this can be done for free, does not affect credit scores, and people can unfreeze their credit as needed to make large purchases. I'm Isabel Charlet.
This is News Radio KONP.
If it's time for new asphalt paving for your dirt, gravel, or damaged driveway, now's the time to call Lakeside Industries for a free estimate. They've been serving this community since 1982 with city, county, and highway projects, of course. But did you know that they do residential and commercial grading, paving, and stormwater too? Well, they're scheduling spring and summer jobs right now, and no job is too small. Just call Lakeside Industries 452-7803 or lakesideindustries.com.
End-of-life decisions are hard. Be it pre-planning or sudden loss, you need to have an advocate in your corner, which is why I wholeheartedly recommend Drennan and Ford Funeral Home and Crematory in Port Angeles, the only locally owned funeral home and crematory in Clallam County. Their expertise ensures a smooth process so you can focus on healing and being with your loved ones. Their help through the darkest time in my life will forever stay with me. Call 360-457-1210.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Highs level off around 64 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, easterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Slight chance for rain tonight. Lows level off around 48, partly cloudy skies. Chance of rain tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 57, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 56 Wednesday with a chance for isolated showers, 56 Thursday. A peek at the extended shows, 61 Friday, 62 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 58.
Off and running. Good morning. I'm Jay Reynolds. The top two seeds in the West picking up wins in their respective series openers yesterday in the NBA. Thunder, a 35-point rout of the Suns in Game 1. Spurs get 35 from Victor Wembanyama. They beat Portland 111-98. The 35 points, most by a Spurs player in his playoff debut. Was he nervous?
Of course. Yeah, I mean, it is obviously different, but we've been really good in the regular season, so we had no reason to act differently or do anything different.
Spurs, the 2 seed, opening with a win. As for the 2 seed in the East, Celtics with a 32-point win over the Sixers, largest margin of victory in a playoff opener in franchise history. Meanwhile, in Detroit, the Pistons, the top seed in the East, dropped their series opener to the Magic, 112-101. Orlando never trailed, and the result is the Pistons' 11th straight home playoff loss, extends the longest streak in NBA history. Speaking of 11 straight losses,
New York loses its 11th consecutive game, 2-1, the final score in 10 innings. And a heartbreaker for the Mets, who walk off the field winless on the road trip. It's hard to even put it into words at this point.
880 ESPN New York. Mets led 1-0 in the ninth, but the Cubs with a sac fly to win it in the bottom of the 10th after a wild pitch resulted in the runner getting to third for Chicago. Yankees a 7-0 shutout of the Royals. Nationals shut out the Giants 3-0. Braves sweep the Phillies 4-2. Padres edge the Angels 2-1. Mason Miller, save number 8, still has not allowed a run. Reds close out a 10-inning win over the Twins with a successful ABS challenge. Toronto scores 8 in the first. They beat Arizona 10-4. Dodgers have a losing streak for the first time this season. Back-to-back losses to Colorado. LA catcher Dalton Rushing is wondering out loud if there's something fishy going on with the Rockies.
In local sports, former Rough Rider long-distance runner Jack Gladfelter is now the fastest man in America at the NAIA level. At the Brian Clay Invitational at Azusa Pacific University, Gladfelter ran a personal best 29:43 in the 10K. The time was good for 6th place at the meet and is currently the fastest in the country at the NAIA level. Gladfelter is now a 4-time All-American, twice in cross-country, once in outdoor track, and once in indoor track. He'll compete at Nationals May 20th in Asheville, North Carolina. The hottest team on the Olympic Peninsula, without question, is the Port Angeles Rough Rider boys soccer team. The Riders beat North Mason 5-1 with Matthew Miller scoring all 5 goals. On Saturday, they followed that up with a 5-0 win over Kingston. 4 goals from Miller and 1 from Oliver Martinez. Tomorrow night is one of the biggest matches in program history as the 6th-ranked 9-1 Rough Riders host the unbeaten and 6th-ranked Bainbridge Spartans, who come in at 8-0. In softball, North Kitsap beat Port Angeles 3-1. Lindsey Reed pitched 3 1/3 innings with 3 strikeouts, while Allison Leitz went 2 2/3 innings with 5 strikeouts. The Rough Riders were held to just 4 hits. Kennedy Ronglin had a triple and a single with the lone RBI. Reed added a single and scored, and Audrey Rudd also singled. North Kitsap is now 7-4 against Port Angeles over the last 4 years. The Riders travel to La today with a 4:30 first pitch. Squim is at Kingston in fast pitch, also at 4:30. In baseball, after 2 big wins over North Kitsap, the Rough Riders lost at 3A Jefferson 7-2 Saturday. Port Angeles travels to Olympic tomorrow for a 5 o'clock first pitch. Squim dropped games to Ording 11-1 on Friday and Olympic 9-4 on Saturday. The Wolves head to Bainbridge tomorrow with a 4:15 first pitch. And in rowing, the Olympic Peninsula Rowing Association hosted the first ever Lake Crescent Circumnavigation. 45 rowers from 7 clubs across Washington and British Columbia took part in the 23-mile course. Based in Port Angeles on Edis Hook, Oprah offers rowing programs and coaching from elementary students to adults. Their next event, the Port Angeles Beach Spirit Regatta, it's set for July. If you'd like more information, go to parowing.org. Brian Wu pitched 7 strong innings. Rob Refsnyder homered on the first pitch in the bottom of the first. Seattle Mariners went on to top the Texas Rangers 5-2 yesterday and win the series against the Rangers. They welcome the Athletics to town. 5:30 airtime tonight here on KONP, brought to you by Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales.
This is Ed from Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Our family has trucked hay to feed the hungry animals in western Washington for 4 generations. In that time, we have built a growing legacy of serving the needs of our customers, and we've never stopped. In 2014, we ventured into the equipment world by becoming a dealer and service provider for Mahindra tractors. Since then, we have partnered with quality brands such as Bad Boy, Aaron's Gravely, LS Tractor, Husqvarna, Snake River Trailers, and now Wacker Neuson Construction Equipment. We have a 3-bay shop where we not only service the brands we sell, but we also work on most major brands including Kubota, John Deere, and New Holland. We carry a wide variety of parts, filters, belts, and fluids. We have a fully stocked hydraulic shop and can build hoses for most machines while you wait. Chainsaw or weed eater needs some TLC, we work on small engines too. We even offer welding and fabrication services. We have been earning the Peninsula's trust for over 25 years with your animal's care. We look forward to earning your trust with your equipment's care too.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Rising crude oil futures triggering some new worries about inflation as investors on Wall Street eye uncertainty in the Middle East this afternoon. Amazon being accused of coercing Levi Strauss and other prominent brands in an alleged price-fixing scheme that influenced costs for a wide variety of goods on retail websites operated by Walmart, Target, Home Depot, Chewy, and others. That's according to court documents from California's Attorney General. Amazon faces other antitrust trials as well. This one, though, scheduled to go to trial in January before the others. Spokesperson for Amazon calls the AG's move a transparent attempt to distract from the weakness of its case. Sources say Spirit Aviation has floated offering the government an equity stake to help stave off its potential liquidation. If you like the sub sandwiches, now you can chew on this. Jersey Mike's Subs, which has over 3,300 U.S. locations, has now submitted paperwork to begin selling stock to the public. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
If you're an Angelus Furniture customer, you'll never be taken for granted. At Angelus Furniture, you're the top priority.
We really appreciate our customers. We try to treat everybody with the utmost respect. We go the extra mile to try to take care of them when they buy something from us, and even when they don't buy something from us. You know, we look at it as a long-term relationship, not a one-transaction relationship.
For fine furniture and the treatment you deserve, shop Angelus Furniture on East 1st Street, Port Angeles.
McCrory Carpet One is part of a 1,000-store co-op. That means you get the competitive pricing of a big box store, but with a superior installation. Their team of professional installers are all employees who live here on the peninsula. Their installation teams take pride in their work because they know they're working for their neighbors and friends, local craftsmen helping local people. Experience the difference. It's why they say, always priced right and always done right at McCrory Carpet One.
KONP News Times now 12:23.
From ABC News Tech Trends, the long-term goal of the artificial intelligence industry, according to companies like OpenAI and Anthropic, is to build what's called super intelligence.
And this means AI systems that are smarter than all of humanity combined.
Malo Borgon is the CEO of the Machine Intelligence Research Institute. He says a technology like that could be directed at some of the world's most complex problems.
So if we could get it right, we could have an era of untold prosperity where most of the world's problems could kind of be addressed.
But on the other hand,
something like that, if we lost control of it, could literally result in human extinction.
Borgon says that's why, in spite of competitive pressures both at home and abroad, some are now advocating for governments to step on the brakes.
To actually slow down the pace of progress, to stop pushing towards these powerful systems until we can actually figure out what the heck we're doing here and how they even work and how we could build something that powerful safely.
With Tech Trends, I'm Mike Dubusky, ABC News.
A Better Life with Dr. Sanjay Gupta.
You know, it's interesting. For such a long time, I think people thought about diseases as something that mostly happened later in life. Just in recent years, however, we as a society have really begun to think about preventing certain ailments much, much earlier. Case in point, new study out of Northwestern University School of Medicine found the mid-30s are a major turning point for men's heart health. For women, about a decade later. But for the men, this is the time when you really need to be thinking about your heart health seriously. At a bare minimum, Start seeing a primary care doctor once a year just to get your blood pressure and cholesterol checked. You can also look up and then do your best to follow what is known as the American Heart Association's Life's Essential 8. These are things everyone can do to decrease the risk of heart disease. I'm Dr. Sanjay Gupta, helping you live a better life.
This is the highlight of my morning. Hey, what's up? It's Island.
And I'm Josh.
And a little thing we love about the Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit is that it's our go-to morning comfort.
You've got that nice golden fluffy egg.
With a soft, flaky biscuit.
Crispy bacon.
Melty cheese.
You want something quick, you want something convenient, but most of all, you want something good.
There's no better way to start your morning.
There we go.
Start off the morning with a Chick-fil-A Bacon, Egg, and Cheese Biscuit with Simply Orange Juice. Order on the Chick-fil-A app today. Real guests paid for their testimonials.
Veterans and active duty service members, when your call to service ends, your mission doesn't have to. Go from GI to IT in just a few months at My Computer Career. Prepare for a high-demand career in cybersecurity, protecting people, systems, and institutions from real cyber threats. Cyber warriors are needed now. Will you answer the call? Go to mycomputercareer.edu/CWP to learn more. That's mycomputercareer.edu/CWP, an elite CompTIA certification partner. VA education benefits are available to those who qualify.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart, and this is One Moment in America. Who do you seek to be like? What do we as Americans look for today in a person? I'll tell you that story after this important message.
Hello, I'm Jerry Stewart with a word from Liberty Village. After President Lincoln gave his 2-minute speech as his part of the Gettysburg Address, so many who heard and read his words called his speech perhaps the greatest speech ever. How can that be? Words so brief, less than 2 minutes, but words so powerful. Lincoln answered that himself. The world will little note nor long remember what we can say here, but it can never forget what they did here. He pointed beyond the speech to the sacrifice, beyond the words to the deeds. And then he reminded us why it mattered, that those who gave their lives had not died in vain, but had secured for us a new birth of freedom. That new birth of freedom is not just a line in a history book, it's a responsibility handed down to us. At Liberty Village, we help families understand and live the values that sustain that freedom. Subscribe to our free monthly founding values lessons and bring those principles into your home. Go to libertyvillage.org/education and register for free today.
Who do we revere and admire today in America? If you wonder, look at the magazine covers, the TV talk shows. It truly amazes me the people we are most interested in. It's no wonder we have the moral decay sweeping across our country. But what should we be looking for? In March of 1963, a minister, Martin Luther King, gave a speech. And in that speech, he talked about a dream that someday Americans would not judge a person by the color of their skin, but by the content of their character. Sadly, today in America, when it comes to stars and celebrities regarding content of character, sadly, no one seems to care. I'm Jerry Stewart, and that was One Moment in America.
This is Alan Barnard, and this volunteer spotlight shines on the Michael Trebert chapter of the Daughters of the American Revolution, or DAR. These patriotic volunteers honor veterans in Clallam County through their remembrance, service, and education. At community gatherings, they remember those who gave their lives for freedom and honor all who have served. They further support veterans by providing refreshments, laying wreaths, helping at stand-down events, cleaning cemetery markers, and attending local veterans' burials. Above all, year-round, they teach the next generation the lasting value of our military and their sacrifices. To volunteer for the DAR, contact Judy Tordini at 360-460-2346. It's said that service is the rent we pay for our space on Earth. That's why we present this volunteer spotlight, sponsored by Port Angeles Realty.
Hi everyone, it's Leslie Robertson from the Chamber of Commerce, and I'd like to invite you to the Clallam County Volunteer Fair on Wednesday, April 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. at Vern Burton Community Center. Stop by to learn about local organizations and find ways to give back to the community. Whether you've been helped in the past and you want to pay it forward, you want to meet new friends, or you just want to find out about the great things going on in our community, come by and explore. There is no pressure, and you'll meet some really great people. Plus, we'll have free nachos, popcorn, and other treats. Or if you're an organization that is seeking volunteers, there's still time to grab a booth. You can check it all out on our website at portangeles.org. Once again, that's Wednesday, April 22nd from 4 to 7 p.m. at Vern Burton Community Center. And applications are still available for organizations who want to participate. So just visit our website, portangeles.org. Hope to see you there.
Breaking news at Town Hall. I'm Bob Agnew in Washington. In Tehran today, the country's foreign ministry announcing the U.S. had attacked an Iranian cargo vessel. The U.S. says that ship was attempting to skirt around the U.S. blockade of Iranian ports, so the ship was disabled. Pakistan, meanwhile, hoping for a successful round of negotiations on its soil. Here's correspondent Philip Crowther.
Security precautions include the closure of roads, monuments, and hotels as well. In fact, the two hotels that had been used by the delegations from Washington and Tehran have already been taken over by Pakistani authorities. Guests have been told to find a room elsewhere. This road here behind me leading to Islamabad's main tourist attraction, the Faisal Mosque. You won't be seeing many cars or motorbikes on here today. In fact, whole areas of Islamabad are expected to be turned into pretty much inaccessible so-called red zones over the next few days.
That is correspondent Philip Crowther reporting. A refund system for businesses that paid tariffs, which the U.S. Supreme Court eventually struck down, is scheduled to launch today. Reporter Bernie Bennett has more details.
U.S. Customs and Border Protection says importers and their brokers were able to begin claiming refunds online beginning at 8 a.m. It's the first step in a complicated process that also might eventually lead to refunds for consumers who were billed for some or all of the tariffs on products shipped to them from outside the United States. In a 6-3 decision, the Supreme Court ruled in late February that President Donald Trump usurped congressional taxation authority when he set double-digit import tax rates on products from almost every other country. Bernie Bennett reporting.
And more tensions in the Strait of Hormuz means oil prices once again are going up, and that causes stock prices to be weighed down. Right now, the Dow off by 60 points, the high-tech NASDAQ off by about 80. More on these stories at townhall.com.
I talked to a lot of great companies. Very few of them actually literally surprised me, but Fellowship Home Loans sure did. For over 20 years, Mike and Brian and the team there have been helping families do something most people think is more complicated than it has to be. Get into a home, lower their rate, or tap into equity they didn't even realize they had. Everything at Fellowship is done in-house. One roof, one great team, all with a servant-led mentality. From your first phone call to closing, you're going to get people who know you by name. They'll know your situation. They treat you like family. They're also offering a free mortgage checkup right now. Don't miss out. Rates are lower now than if you purchased or refinanced your home in the last few years. Many Fellowship customers are saving hundreds of dollars a month when refinancing, and there are no payments for 2 months. Go to fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, fellowshiphomeloans.com/Mike G, or call 800-510-MIKE, 800-510-6453. Fellowship Home Loans, mortgage lending by the book.
Nationwide Mortgage Bankers, DBA Fellowship Home Loans, Equal Housing Lender, NMLS number 819382.
Weather officials have confirmed there were at least 2 more tornado touchdowns during Friday's outbreak of severe weather in the Midwest. National Weather Service forecaster David Cousins says that is in line with expectations for this time of year in the Quad Cities.
As you go from the winter season into spring and summer there's that transition season. Or, with the weather's transitioning there where you're going from the predominantly colder air to the predominantly warmer air, and we tend to get more intense storm systems this time of year.
A lot of people wondering why gas prices have gone up so high, even though the U.S. produces a lot of its own oil.
When the war started and the Middle East oil was disrupted, even though the Middle East oil is only about 25% of the global total, it caused complete disruption.
That is economist Steve Moore. He says that the U.S. can do only so much to keep global prices in check. More from townhall.com. Supreme Court Justice Sonia Sotomayor apologized to Brett Kavanaugh. Here's correspondent John Scott.
Justice Sotomayor publicly apologized to Justice Kavanaugh after making pointed remarks at a University of Kansas event that some court watchers felt implied he was out of touch due to his privileged background. The comments, widely viewed as a breach of Supreme Court collegiality, drew criticism from legal commentators and prompted her to issue a formal statement of regret.
That is John Scott reporting. And Oklahoma City's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander might be adding a couple more trophies to his collection. San Antonio's Victor Wembanyama also has a lot of doing the same. It could be named MVP this year. The NBA's run of international MVP started back in 2019. More on these stories at townhall.com.
This is the News Radio KONP Noon Report.
Townward live from the KONP News Center. Here's a look at what's happening on this Monday, April 20th. A mail theft investigation now underway in Clallam County after deputies served a search warrant at a home east of Port Angeles. According to the Clallam County Sheriff's Office, deputies went to a residence in the 6,000 block of Old Olympic Highway about 3 p.m. April 16th, assisted by the Department of Corrections and the Olympic Peninsula Narcotics Enforcement Team. Investigators say the warrant is tied to an ongoing case involving stolen mail and financial documents. Well, during the search, deputies recovered items believed to be connected to that investigation. People at the home were detained and questioned, but then released. So far, no arrests have been made, and the case remains active as detectives continue to follow up. The Sheriff's Office is also reminding residents to take precautions against mail theft, including picking up mail promptly, using locked mailboxes, and reporting any suspicious activity right away. And anyone who thinks they may be a victim of a mail theft is being encouraged to contact the Clallam County Sheriff's Office. A proposed overhaul of Clallam County's environmental health fees is headed to the Board of Health tomorrow, and it would mean higher costs for a range of permits and services. The plan would replace the current fee schedule and tie future increases to inflation, including an initial nearly 3% bump and a new 5% technology fee. Several individual fees also would go up. Hourly administrative rates would increase from about $102 to $115, while food establishment inspection fees would climb, smaller restaurants going from about $294 to well over $315, and larger operations reaching into the $700 plus range. Temporary food permits would shift to a tiered system, with some fees approaching $300. And septic system charges would also increase, including construction permits, moving from about $424 to $550. Health officials say the changes are needed to keep up with rising costs and modernized systems used for permitting and inspections, while adding automatic annual adjustments and regular reviews to avoid larger spikes in the future. The Board of Health will take public comment on the proposed fee schedule before making a decision, and that meeting is at 1:30 tomorrow afternoon at the Clallam County Courthouse. Now, with a look at some things that happened over the past few days, here's Sandy Keys with his weekend wrap-up.
No building checks were shown in police logs Friday because the 5 building checks of Friday took place between midnight Friday and 2:15 Saturday morning. Saturday's building checks numbered 18, but 17 of those took place Sunday between midnight Saturday and 3 o'clock in the morning Sunday. Equally interesting was the lack of weekend disturbances. Only one report from East 4th, 10:30 Saturday night. Authorities did respond to a suicide attempt or threat midnight Friday in rural Port Angeles, the same Saturday night at East 9th. 10 traffic accidents, mainly fender benders, were processed starting at 1:25 Friday afternoon at a popular location for such an event, 8th and Lincoln. 2 hours later, there was a crash at Oak and Railroad Avenue. Then out into the rurals, there was a crash at Camp Hayden Road and Deer Tracks Roads, and back into town at Front and Ennis, First and Albert, and North Baker. Scrim area crashes were witnessed on Kerner Avenue, West Washington, the Atterbury Road Echoes Lane intersection, and finally at very rural Slab Camp Road, where traffic is increasing dizzily and accidents multiplying staggeringly. Why, they've already had 2 accidents there in 2 weeks. In the good old days, it would have taken months to register 1 accident. But still, with motor vehicles, police found 1 alcohol-propelled driver behind the wheel 4:30 in the morning Friday and issued an arrest ticket at Dempsey Road and Highway 112. In a different area, 2 citizens filed complaints of threats to their well-being. It appears that someone didn't stop with a mere threat and assaulted somebody just after midnight Friday in the 100 block of West Front. Finally, We're beginning to be amazed at the lack of traffic accidents in that annoying fish passage project in Baker Dip. There was one this past weekend in that general area, but more had been expected for over a year, and the expectation continues now that the looky-loos have a lot of progress to look at, enormous progress, developing into a highly attractive new east entrance into Port Angeles. If the already finished similar projects east of Sequim can be any example, they are beautiful. Sandy Keys, KONP Local News. It's time for your Port of PA Today.
Hello, this is Port Commissioner Connie Beaufet. The Port of Port Angeles continues to keep busy, attracting even more business and jobs to our area. We've been sharing the exciting news about the new aviation company, Citizen Air, expanding operations at Fairchild. The port also welcomes Port Angeles Composite, a subsidiary of Honda Aircraft Company, developing operations with their purchase of ACTI. This news brings the potential for new, well-paying jobs as Port Angeles Composites expands its business of manufacturing composite aircraft parts. We're also delighted about Brix Marine, growing its production capacity and broadening their range of products. By committing to our area's future, the great companies working with the port are transforming how our county will connect with the world beyond.
This has been your Port of PA Today.
During the work and play sale at Swain's, you'll be able to jump feet first into spring projects in your men's, women's, and kids' bogs, all 20% off. Keep those boots clean with a Northwest boot scrubber for only $16.87. And feel confident you won't strain your back on that yard weeding with Grandpa's Weeder with its long wooden handle. No bending means no straining. It's only $39.87. Swain's Work and Play Sale going on now.
In other news, King County elections officials are investigating how hundreds of ballots were found near a dumpster in Renton before ending up with the state Republican Party chair. About 400 ballots, most unopened and unmarked, were delivered Thursday to the Bellevue office of the Washington State Republican Party. That according to Chairman Jim Walsh. The ballots were tied to elections between 2022 and 2025. Walsh posted a video online calling the discovery evidence of security issues and renewed his push to end mail-in voting. He said a concerned citizen found the ballots in February and then later passed them along. Now, state and county officials say they were never contacted about the discovery and would have immediately investigated. Secretary of State Steve Hobbs said posting on social media is not the proper way to report potentially mishandled ballots. Still, the U.S. Postal Inspection Service and the King County prosecutor now investigating the case. April is Fraud Prevention Month, and new data shows fraud continues to be a big concern for people of all ages, with nearly 4 in 10 people saying they've already experienced it. Isabel Charlet has more.
The data from AARP also shows growing confusion and overconfidence around artificial intelligence-driven scams. Kay Tomlinson with AARP Washington says scams largely haven't changed how they operate, but they have been supercharged by AI.
AI makes fraudsters more believable and more efficient. Now, one person with the help of AI can implement multiple scams on multiple people all at one time, pretty much with the click of a button.
Tomlinson calls the financial impact on residents breathtaking. The latest data from the FBI shows that Washington residents lost nearly $460 million last year to fraud. AARP Washington is hosting a number of fraud prevention events this month, and people can find more information online. Tomlinson says she is disappointed that Washington failed to pass a law regulating crypto kiosks this year, another popular tool for scammers. She adds whether it's investment, romance, or grandparent scams, fraudsters are counting on people's inexperience. She advises people to be more skeptical when it comes to the communication they receive.
You need to listen to that voice in the back of your head saying, Kay said to not believe everything I see and hear, especially on social media, but also text, email, phone calls.
Tomlinson says identity theft is the most common type of fraud, and one of the most powerful tools people have to prevent it is freezing their credit so that that scammers can't make big purchases in their name. She explains this can be done for free, does not affect credit scores, and people can unfreeze their credit as needed to make large purchases. I'm Isabel Charlet.
This is News Radio KONP.
When caring for someone you love, it's important for you to take time to rest. At Dungeness Court Memory Care, our overnight respite care offers peace of mind in a safe, family-style setting. From overnight to several weeks, your loved one receives a dedicated caregiving staff, 24-hour on-site nursing, meals, and calming activities, with all-inclusive rates starting at $325 per night. No long-term commitment, just loving care when you need it most. Call Dungeness Court Memory Care at 360-582-9309 today.
Ever drive by Jungle Jane's and Squim and think, wow, those greenhouses are gorgeous? Well, guess what? There's more jungle magic inside. Step through the doors and you'll find a treasure trove of home decor. Lamps that glow like tropical sunsets, cozy pillows, stylish kitchenware, and pieces from local artisans that'll make your home roar with personality. Jungle Jane's isn't just outdoor glam, it's indoor decor paradise in disguise. Shop Jungle Jane's in Squim on the roundabout by Costco.
Hi, it's Callie from the Heartline. Thanks to all who've come by the shop and to those who've stopped by our home show booth during our anniversary event. There's still time to take advantage of our anniversary savings. Now through May 2nd, get 50% off medium bark. We love helping you beautify your yard and garden, and during our anniversary, helping you save 50% off as well. But hurry, savings are until May 2nd. Stop by the Heartline, top of the truck route, Port Angeles. 452-3157.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by All Weather Heating and Cooling. Highs level off around 64 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, easterly winds around 5 miles per hour. Slight chance for rain tonight. Lows level off around 48, partly cloudy skies. Chance of rain tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 57, cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 56 Wednesday with a chance for isolated showers, 56 Thursday. A peek at the extended shows, 61 Friday, 62 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Currently 58.
Mariners back on the air this evening, 5:30 airtime here on KONP, brought to you by Leeds Farm Supply and Equipment Sales. Now with the rest of the sports, here's Robert Workman.
NBA playoffs, the top seeds getting into round one action on Sunday. In the West, the Thunder began their title defense with a 119-84 rout of the Suns, 25 for Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Spurs got 35 from Victor Wembanyama in his playoff debut as they doused the Blazers 111-98.
It is obviously different, but we've been really good in the regular season, so we had no reason to act differently or do anything different.
In the East, the Celtics slammed the 76ers 123-91, and an upset in Detroit where the Magic beat the Pistons 112-101 despite 39 from Cade Cunningham. Detroit has now lost its last 11 home playoff games dating back to 2008. NBA Most Valuable Player finalists were announced. SGA goes for back-to-back awards. Nikola Jokic looks for his fourth, and Wemby aims for his first MVP. NHL Sunday 4 playoff openers. Avalanche edged the Kings 2-1. Scott Wedgwood stopped 24 shots, came within 2.5 minutes of a shutout in his first ever playoff start. Golden Knights scored 3 in the third to upend the Mammoth 4-2. Sabres erased a 2-0 deficit with 4 third-period goals and a 4-3 win over the Bruins. That's Buffalo's first playoff game in 15 years. And the Canadiens tripped the Lightning 4-3 in overtime. Juraj Slafkovsky capped his hat trick with the OT winner, all 3 goals coming on the power play. Baseball Sunday, the Rockies topped the league-leading Dodgers 9-6. Home runs from Mickey Moniak and Kyle Karros, son of former L.A. star Eric Karros. Padres clipped the Angels 2-1. They moved to within a half game of the Dodgers. 5 pitchers held the Halos to just 2 hits. Braves won their 5th straight, topping the Phillies. Cardinals got a bases-clearing double in the 10th from Mason Wynn to beat the Astros for their 5th win in a row. Cubs nipped the Mets in 10 innings. New York has lost 11 straight. Yankees blanked the Royals. Nationals shut out the Giants. That's Monday Sports.
Hello, this is Katie McCormick with Squim Valley and Harper Ridgeview Funeral Chapels. I'd like to take a moment to tell you about a new, exciting, and environmentally friendly development in the funeral industry. It's called Natural Organic Reduction, or terramation. Perhaps you've heard of it. Terramation is a process in which the body, after death, is returned to the earth in a carbon-neutral, eco-friendly manner. The process takes place in a controlled environment, and all that remains is a natural, odorless, compost-like material. If you would like more information about terramation and advanced planning, Call us today at Harper Ridgeview in Port Angeles or Squim Valley Chapel in Squim, and one of our knowledgeable and caring funeral professionals will assist you in answering your questions. Harper Ridgeview and Squim Valley Funeral Chapels, because your loved ones deserve the best.
If it's time for new asphalt paving for your dirt, gravel, or damaged driveway, now's the time to call Lakeside Industries for a free estimate. They've been serving this community since 1982 with city, county, and highway projects, of course. But did you know that they do residential and commercial grading, paving, and stormwater too? Well, they're scheduling spring and summer jobs right now, and no job is too small. Just call Lakeside Industries, 452-7803, or lakesideindustries.com.
At Olympic Peninsula Title, we wear a lot of different hats. We are investigators, analysts, and the protectors of property rights. We seek a high standard of accuracy. Our commitment to exceptional service strengthens our mission. We reduce risk. We stay on top of current issues affecting property rights. We sweat the small stuff to give our customers the peace of mind they deserve. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title.
News Radio KONP Business.
This is a Bloomberg Money Minute. Some uncertainty in the Middle East and rising crude oil prices really putting a bit of a damper on trading for much of the day today. Citigroup says crude oil futures will rise more if the traffic in the Strait of Hormuz remains disrupted. Amazon among the decliners. That's after being accused by California's Attorney General of price fixing. Amazon says the AG is trying to hide the fact that the case is weak. Stock in psychedelic therapy companies surging today, including Compass Pathways, GH Research, and Definium Therapeutics. President Trump signing an executive order to expedite research and access. It directs the FDA to issue review vouchers quickly. And the family that owns Jack Daniels maker Brown-Forman favoring a potential sale to the French distilling giant Pernod Ricard, according to sources, the maker of Absolut Vodka, James Irish Whiskey, and a whole bunch of other spirits. That would mean saying no to an alternative $15 billion cash offer from Kentucky-based Sazerac, the maker of Southern Comfort and Buffalo Trace Bourbon. Denise Pellegrini, Bloomberg Radio.
No matter what you are trying to keep in or what you're trying to keep out, Leitz Farm Supply and Equipment Sales has fencing to get the job done right. Leitz carries everything from barbed wire and no-climb fencing to field fences and gates with all the equipment you'll need to install. You'll even find fence chargers, electric rope, T-posts, and anything else you might need to get the job done. Leitz Farm Supply and Equipment Sales is your local farm store and so much more. Located at 259110 Highway 101 in Squim.
In an emergency, every second counts. At Olympic Medical Center, we're committed to providing high-quality emergency care when you need it most, and important information to prepare you before you do. Visit our website to learn how our triage system works and how you can be better prepared for an ER visit. Knowledge is power, especially when it comes to your health. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/emergency care.
News Radio KONP, traffic and roads.
Let's head up to Clallam Transit Dispatch Center. That's where Steve's standing by. He's watching the roads on a Monday in the noon hour. Good afternoon, Steve.
Hi there. Hey, good afternoon, everybody. We're doing okay on traffic, but we do have one kind of issue going on right now. 8th and Albert. Got a pretty a blocking vehicle accident there. You definitely want to avoid the area if you can. They have fire and medic arriving on scene here just shortly, but definitely want to stay out of the area for a while. This might take a while to get everything cleared up in there. If you're anywhere else in Port Angeles, 1st Street, Front Street, you should be moving along pretty well. No real issues out there. Same thing in Squim along Washington Street and Squim Avenue area. Traffic is busy but moving along pretty smoothly. If you're on the highway between the two cities, no problems. It is busy, but traffic is moving along quite well. A little slow through our construction area, but other than that, traffic's doing pretty well. Headed beyond Squim, the Hood Canal Bridge is going to have one more scheduled marine opening or maintenance opening at 1:30 this afternoon, so plan ahead for that. State ferries, though, are running on time today. West End traffic, we're looking good all the way out to the Forks area. No problems out there. Roads wide open. Traffic is moving along pretty smoothly. So everybody take care. Definitely be safe out there. This is Steve reporting live from Clallam Transit for KONP.
Thanks, Steve. Another update during the drive home about 4:20. We'll have that here on KONP.
ABC Entertainment News.
The Super Mario Galaxy movie topped the box office for the third consecutive weekend since its release. It's now the highest-grossing film of 2026 and is on track to reach $1 billion worldwide.
I've been fighting for my life.
FC Basel is the latest venue to cancel an upcoming show for Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. Concerts in Poland and the UK have already been canceled due to Ye's history of anti-Semitic comments.
Whew, Shrek, did you do that? Man, you gotta warn somebody before you just crack one off. My mouth was open and everything.
Eddie Murphy received the American Film Institute's Life Achievement Award at the Dolby Theater this weekend. The actor was honored for his decades-long career in comedy, music, television, and film, from Saturday Night Live and the Shrek franchise to Dreamgirls and The Nutty Professor. The tribute featured appearances from stars including Kevin Hart, Eva Longoria, and Kenan Thompson. Chuck Severson, ABC News.
From the deranged kid who threw a Molotov cocktail at the home of ChatGPT's inventor, Sam Altman, to thousands out of work because of AI, many Americans are deeply frightened by artificial intelligence. The Tennessee legislature has no idea to control it. I'll explain. I'm Kim Commando for NetSuite. AI is here and your competitors are already using it. If your revenue is over 7 figures, get their free guide, Demystifying AI, at netsuite.com/Kim. The legislature passed this bill to take effect July 1st. That makes it a Class A felony, the same as first-degree murder, to train AI to provide emotional support, act as a companion, or engage in open conversations that simulate a relationship. Let's step back. First-degree murder? Now, of course, this law will quickly be struck down as it is a direct violation of the First Amendment. Still, it illustrates the current level of fear and the old adage, no one's life, liberty, or property is safe while the legislature is in session. Get my free newsletter now at getkim.com. Every business owner I talk to asks the same question. How do I make AI work for me? Not someday, today. Sitting on the sidelines is not an option. Your competitors aren't waiting. NetSuite by Oracle is the #1 AI cloud ERP, trusted by over 43,000 businesses. It pulls your financials, inventory, commerce, HR, and CRM into one system. When everything lives in one place, your AI knows your business. It doesn't guess. It knows. You make decisions based on the data and AI, not on your gut. You get alerted to red flags before they turn into problems and make fast, confident decisions that move the needle. How do I know? I'm bringing NetSuite into my business right now. From software and IT services to healthcare, equipment manufacturing, financial services, and many other great American industries, NetSuite delivers a customized solution for your business. If your revenues are at least 7 figures, get NetSuite's free business guide, Demystifying AI, right now. It's free to you at netsuite.com/Kim. That's netsuite.com/Kim, netsuite.com/Kim.
I'm John Tesh, and coming up, do you struggle to finish tedious daily chores? Well, good news. I'll share the latest science on how to make boring tasks more exciting. It's next in today's Intelligence for Your Life Minute.
One of life's greatest mysteries has finally been solved.
Who let the dogs out? Spruce, spruce, spruce.
It's spruce, the weed and grass killer that's safe for use around people, pets, and bees, when used as directed. Spray the leaves for visible results in just 1 hour, and dead weeds in just 1 day. You spray, they play. Spruce, pet friendly, weed deadly. Find wherever weed killers are sold.
So is it possible to psych yourself up to do something boring like folding laundry or filing paperwork? New research from the UCLA School of Management tells us this approach. Try pairing each boring task with something more engaging and attention-grabbing. For example, in experiments, researchers found study participants would brush their teeth 30% longer if they watched a nature documentary while brushing. And in another experiment, people stuck with their workouts longer if they just listened to an audiobook while exercising. Researchers say these are examples of something known as tangential immersion, and it works because our brain thrives when it feels engaged. That's why doing something you love puts your mind into a state of flow where you lose all sense of time. So, try finding ways to pair your most tedious tasks with something that engages your mind. That's using the science of tangential immersion.
Bathfitter is celebrating over 42,000 installations in Western Washington. That's 42,000 bathrooms made safer, cleaner, and more stylish. And for a limited time, we're doubling our tax season offer, giving up to $1,000 off your dream bath. Custom-fit tub and shower solutions are installed in as little as 1 day, with complete removal of your old setup. Every installation backed by a lifetime warranty. Visit bathfitternw.com to schedule a free consultation. Hurry, this offer won't
last. Meet Dennis. He and his wife call Lavender Meadows and Squim home.
They have a lot of modular home communities here, but Lavender Meadows stands way above the others. It's beautiful. There's a lot to do here. We have a beautiful clubhouse. We have bocce ball courts. We have a pickleball court. We have so many friends. It's like one big family here now.
Come tour Lavender Meadows and Squim or go to lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
Your voice, your news. News Radio KONP, Port Angela Squim. AM 1450, FM 101.7 and 101.3. Radio Pacific Station.
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. So far, no talks firmed up yet between the U.S. and Iran, but Vice President J.D. Vance is expected to travel to Pakistan tomorrow, according to two U.S. officials familiar with the plans. ABC's Tom Sufi-Burridge has more.
There is a massive flurry of diplomatic activity because these type of talks don't just happen. You don't have a Vice President of the U.S. pitching up in Islamabad without a lot of preparatory work going on beforehand, diplomats paving the way, and clearly Pakistan is working overdrive, going between the U.S. And the Iranians to try and, basically pave the way for these talks to actually take place in a meaningful way, possibly.
President Trump telling Bloomberg it's highly unlikely he'll extend Wednesday's temporary ceasefire deadline. In Los Angeles County, prosecutors charged singer David, also known as David Burke, with first-degree murder of Celeste Rivas Hernandez, a 14-year-old police say was found dead last year and her body dismembered, found in the trunk of the singer's car. ABC's Alex Stone says the murder charge also carries a special circumstance count.
They are alleging that this murder was to cover up for the sexual relationship that they say David Burke, 21 years old, was having with Celeste Rivas before she was the age of 14, when she was 12 or 13 years old. That this was all one big cover-up, and they're going to charge him for that.
Attorneys for David say he's innocent, and the evidence will show he did not murder Hernandez and was not the cause of her death. Outside Mexico City today, a Canadian woman is dead and 3 others injured after Mexican authorities say gunshots rang out at the Teotihuacan pyramids today. In a statement, Mexican authorities say a man opened fire and took his own life at the major tourist site. Mexico's president says security cabinet is investigating. Across the Midwest, cleanup continuing following dozens of tornadoes over the weekend, stretching from Texas to Minnesota. You're listening to ABC News.
Wesley Financial Group is not a law firm.
Ask yourself this question. Is it really worth holding on to that timeshare that you know you need to get rid of? Here's the truth. The average maintenance fee just went up over 17%. That could have been 117%, and there's nothing you can do about it. When you buy a timeshare, you give them a blank check for annual maintenance and assessment fees. I'm Chuck McDowell, founder of Wesley Financial Group. For 15 years, I've helped over 50,000 families cancel their timeshare. Not sell it, not transfer it, cancel it. Did you buy a timeshare because they told you it was a great investment and your maintenance fees would never go up? That's a lie. Are you ready to get rid of your timeshare once and for all? Simply call us and I'll send you our timeshare exit kit that explains all your options for cancellation.
Call Wesley now for your timeshare exit kit. 800-970-3355. That's 800-970-3355. 800-970-3355.
As each season changes, one thing stays the same. Airport Garden Center is always here to help your yard and garden grow. Airport Garden Center opened for business in 1977 as a pet, plant, and feed store by Eldora and Floyd Matthews. The family-run operation continues with Mark and Betsy Matthews passionately managing the business to this day. Their family provides your family quality service, products, and expert advice for a fun, rewarding, pet and child-friendly shopping atmosphere. We love helping you plan next season by offering monthly special savings too. Go to airportgarden.biz for current specials and seasonal classes and events, or just stop on by our spacious indoor-outdoor garden center on Edgewood Drive in Port Angeles to chat with the experts. Airport Garden Center, planting knowledge, growing gardeners since 1977.
KONP News brought to you by RE/MAX Evergreen Real Estate Outstanding Agents. Outstanding results, 457-6600. The U.S. Forest Service planning a major shakeup, closing most of its research stations nationwide. Agency says 57 out of 77 sites could shut down with consolidations into Colorado. In Washington, facilities in Seattle and Wenatchee are on the chopping block. In King County, elections officials investigating after 400 ballots were found near a dumpster in Renton. Those ballots were turned over last month to the state Republican Party. The party chair, Jim Walsh, called it a security concern. State officials say they were never notified and stressed that safeguards like signature checks remain in place. Still, federal and state officials are reviewing the case.
Here's your News Radio KONP forecast, brought to you by Olympic Game Farm. Daytime highs approaching 64 this afternoon. Under overcast skies, winds out of the east around 5 miles per hour. Slight chance of rain tonight. Lows dip down to about 48. Partly cloudy skies. Chance of rain tomorrow. Daytime highs approaching 57. Cloudy skies expected. High temperatures reach up to 56 Wednesday with a chance for isolated rain showers. 59, mainly sunny Thursday. Taking a look at the extended forecast. 61 Friday, 62 Saturday, and 60 on Sunday. That's a look at your forecast. I'm meteorologist Paul Trombley. Right now, it's 63 degrees.
It's the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP. Now, here's Todd.
Welcome once again to the program. Lots to cover today, and this is one that I think everybody can really deal with, and that is the loss of a pet. And we quarterly have our friends in from the Volunteer Hospice of Clallam County to talk about death and dying and things. And this was a really an interesting change of things. And I didn't realize that you all are involved with the Olympic Peninsula Humane Society on grief over loss of a pet. And so we're going to talk a bit about that and some options for you. And I just remarked to my guests that our family just lost our beloved cat of about 10 or 11 years just a few weeks ago. And it's tough. We haven't gone through one of those in a while, and it really is a tough thing to do. So no shame in having lots of grief over those furry little friends of ours, certainly. So I'm going to introduce folks as we go, I think, a little bit. Jeanette Stair-Green's going to kick things off for us. Yeah. She's kind of the lead on most of these and helps put these together. And Jeanette, good to see you again.
Good to see you. Thank you so much for having us here today. This is a topic, and I'm kind of starting to tear up
I know,
just thinking about it. That is, it's pretty close to a lot of our hearts, and that's the death of a companion animal. And, you know, over 60% of American households have a dog or a cat. And if you add in goldfish and feathered friends and snakes and all this, it's a huge percentage of our community have pets that are very dear to us. And the sad fact of the matter is most of them, except for parrots and maybe horses, their lifespan is much, much shorter than ours. And so we're going to be dealing with this. We just are. And so what we hope today is kind of to reflect on why these animals are so important to us. And then when we no longer have them in our lives, how can we deal with that? And we have some new activities happening to help support people from our community around this.
All right. So that said, I don't know, do we want to just kind of roundtable this a little bit?
I think so, because I think both the other guests here today with me feel very strongly about this,
all right,
too.
So let's go over first to the Executive Director of the Olympic Peninsula Humane Society, Spencer McGinty's back. Spencer, good to see you again.
Hi, how are you, Todd?
It's very good. And this is a real deal thing, isn't it?
It is.
We think about your group as adopting out animals and stuff, but here we are talking about kind of, I guess, the next chapter that happens often after these animals go to a new home.
Yeah.
Eventually, that family's probably going to have to deal with this.
And a lot of people come to our organization to adopt after their pet, after they've lost a pet. And they said, oh, well, you know, I lost my pet like a month or 6 months or a year ago, and I'm ready to open my heart up again. And they try to come and find a cat or a dog that kind of gives them that same sense of peace that they had from their former animal. And I mean, like Jeanette said, like these animals, they hold such a special place in our hearts because they do give us unconditional love. They keep our secrets. They don't judge us when we make really, really bad mistakes. They, you know, I think that they are one of the only examples in our lifetimes of unconditional love. And, you know, I work with them every day, but ultimately, I was a certified euthanasia technician when I was in Utah at my former shelter. So like I watched multiple families bring their animals in to say goodbye and when they were at the end of that lifetime. And it's a very sacred might not be the right word, but it's a sacred connection, and it's a sacred experience to not only own an animal, love an animal, but lose an animal as well.
Yeah.
So.
And if you have a family with youngsters, it's also kind of a teaching thing as well, which good and bad, kind of understanding what life is all about. There's an end to it at some point
and
for all of us.
Ultimately, like we see a lot, and it was walking into those situations where you are, bringing that animal to the end of their life and performing that procedure. Ultimately, like watching parents have to explain to their kids, and like I mean, you have to maintain a level of decorum when you're in a professional welfare environment, but ultimately, like, I can't tell you how many animals I cried while we were having to perform that procedure, and I didn't even know this animal, but knowing how loved they were is so special.
Yeah. I'm going to tell you something. A little story about me is that I was going to be a veterinarian.
Oh, wow.
That's the reason I couldn't do it. I said, there is no way every day I can go into work knowing that that's probably going to be part of my day.
Yeah.
I'm sure you learn to, get through it somehow, but yeah.
I think the main way I personally went through it is we talked about this kind of last time, and I want to touch on it again just really fast. Yeah. But ultimately, I think there's a lot of people who don't feel like they are comfortable enough to go back and be with their animal while they're undergoing that procedure. And I just kind of want to reiterate to the masses that, like, that is okay if you emotionally can't handle that, because the people who are performing that procedure on your animal love them, regardless of whether or not we know them. You love them, and there's something to that, right? Even animals that I, at my former shelter that like were fading fast, kind of, we call it fading kitten syndrome. So if it was like a kitten that wasn't surviving, or things like, or even an animal that was just failing to thrive, quality of life issues, regardless of whether or not they even had a name, they were so loved, even in their last moments, by people who didn't know them. Yeah. And so everyone who works in animal welfare has that well, and it is never ending. Right. There is no bottom to that well of how much love we have for our own animals, and the animals in the community, and the animals of those who can't care for them anymore. I think a lot of the time people think that people surrendering animals to shelters, like, oh, they're terrible for surrendering that animal. It's the worst day of most of those people's lives. There's so much empathy for animals across the board, but especially animals at that end of life. But yeah, there's no shame in not being able to be present for that. They are loved through and through to the end.
Yeah, although I have some friends who say that those pets do look for their owner if they can.
Sometimes. It really depends on the situation. Yeah. A lot of the time, they're loved on by their people before we go back, and then they're loved on by us. They're given, if it's a dog, there's usually peanut butter or chocolate chips, because every dog deserves to taste chocolate before they cross the rainbow bridge, in my personal opinion. And with cats, there's like lots of tuna treats. Yeah. There's all that stuff. All of the things that you can't give them on a day-to-day basis, they are given those in those last moments to have a peaceful exit from this life. And euthanasia, the translation from Greek into English, is peaceful death or peaceful passing. So that's our goal all the time.
My cat went on her own, though, and that was, I don't know if it's harder or not, because that was it just happened in front of us, which was I think, shock, right? Yeah. And I think that kind of gives it the old rip the Band-Aid off sort of thing as well. They depend on us for so much, for so long, but I think it's a two-way street. Even though, it's like they need us to feed them and do all of these things, we certainly get everything back from them. And I think, Jeanette, you're nodding. That's why this is a tough thing to do.
And these creatures, they are just always around us. As opposed, you said something like maybe not missing a human that passes as much as an animal. I mean, these creatures are at the door when you come home, and they're there when you're fixing dinner, and they're there in the morning when you wake up. And the last cat that we lost, we got him right before my mother passed away. Oh. He was with us through thick and thin. COVID was by our side, was our joy. I mean, every time you try to find something positive in the day, it was him. And then it was just a couple months after my father passed away. And so there was also all of these emotional connections beyond what he gave to us. Is like it was my connection to my mom, my dad, these sorts of things, which is not uncommon.
Yep.
That they also represent other human relationships.
So Astrid has not been on for a couple of times. We haven't had Astrid Raffensfellows on for a bit. You cat dog owner? Have you gone through this personally? First, I should ask this. It's obvious from my first two guests here.
Yeah, I've had many losses. The first one was quite traumatic. It was a neighbor shot our dog.
Oh.
I was 10 years old. I'm somehow still grieving that one.
I bet you are. Yeah.
I told my parents at the time that they could not have any other animals, and I looked for those animals, or for that animal all the time. I used to live in a city where there was a couple of Samoyed not far from my house, and whenever I would walk by, I would just run to those dogs because my dog had been a Samoyed, and I tremendously miss her. And I've lost lots and lots of animals. I mean, mostly dogs, but also horses. And when you give a name to an animal, I used to live on a farm, and we had cows. And if we had to butcher a cow, it was always, there is something there. But what I'm thinking about also is that as you talk about, Spencer, about taking care of the animal and being with them, then you carry that burden of holding that loss in your heart. And that's why this grief support group, I think, is so important for people who have lost a pet. It's not just for the owners of a pet, but it's also for the working people in the industry.
Good point. Okay.
And I think that there is a need there. And at times, with all the grief support group that Volunteer Hospice does, I have had requests at times, like, I lost my dog, can I come to the grief support group? And as hard as it's been for me, I have to say no. I cannot mix people who've lost a person with people who've lost a pet. It's not a matter of the loss is greater than it's different. It's very different, and we have to acknowledge that.
But the reality is, you've been getting enough of these calls, you realize there is a need for this type of a
there
grief
is
support
a need
group.
for this type of group, support group for pet loss, and it's something actually that's really close to my heart. In 2016, when I was already working at Volunteer Hospice, I wanted a group like this. I didn't have the impetus, the support to make it happen. So I kind of shelved it away, but it never disappeared from my mind, really. And so when Jeanette approached me and she's like, oh, we could do this. And I'm like, yes, we can do this. And I'm extremely pleased that it's finally happening.
Yeah, and I should point out, I didn't give Astrid's title for her. She's a volunteer service manager and also works with all of these volunteers and helps organize these groups as well that get together through Volunteer Hospice of Clallam County. So
Astrid kind of put out there this idea that we have. And this is a collaboration between Volunteer Hospice of Clallam County and Olympic Peninsula Humane Society. And that is to provide a very special place for those who are grieving the loss of a companion animal to come together and share and talk and process their grief. And it's a really interesting combination of talents and skills here, because we have those of us who are really into the grief world, but we have those of us who are also into supporting animals and doing right by them. And so it's just a wonderful marriage as far as I see, and it's really exciting. We are currently planning to do these grief support groups once a month. It'll be the second Monday of the month at 3:00, and it's going to be at Kitty City. It's a
down in Carlsberg, right? Yeah, right off the highway, Kitty City.
91 South Boyce Road in Squim.
And we'll have, besides Spencer will be joining us and giving her perspectives and her heart to this. We also have some grief support people from hospice, and this is Sue Lenander and Lisa Galbraith. They're both people who have been trained in grief support and will be coming to help people process how they're feeling.
And we should point out, you're meeting this coming Tuesday, right? Or Monday, right? That's the
yes,
13th?
that's
Yeah,
Monday,
right. I'm
that's
looking at my
correct.
notes here. Yeah, the 13th. So you got a chance if you're going through this. Should they call first? Just show up? How
It's
is
just
this
to
gonna
show
work?
up. It's an open
Okay.
invitation. We
3
are
o'clock.
starting at 3. We're looking to end by about 4:30. But ultimately, it doesn't even have to be a pet that you've lost recently. I mean, I
Oh yeah, I know this. Well, Astrid just pointed it out. I mean, years later you can get the Jags again from it.
I last time we were talking, and Sue was with us last time, and she mentioned, I mean, it can be like things will bring up grief that you don't even anticipate, like moving away from like a house where your animal has been buried. And I started crying during our last interview because I literally just kind of processed like, oh, we sold my grandparents' farm, and that's where my childhood pets are buried, and like those were the ones that I had from 14 to 28. So those, I mean, those are my babies. And now I had that realization of, oh, I don't get to go visit them again. And like, they've been gone for many years. And so grief never goes away. It just shows up in different forms. And I love the saying that grief is just love with nowhere to go. And it just spills over. And so I love that we're creating a safe space where people can go and talk about their animals. Cause I feel like a lot of the time, we feel like we can't really talk about it because a lot of the time when you're talking about, at least in my age group, people are constantly talking about their kids, right? And I don't have those. I have fur babies, and when I bring them up, because they are my whole world, right? I'm kind of looked at sideways and they're like, well, that's not. It's not the same.
Yeah,
and so it's discounted, I feel like. And so I feel like when people lose their animals, they don't feel like they can talk about it without being like, yeah, wow, you're sad about your cat. Mm-hmm.
Well, it's just a pet.
It's just a pet.
an animal,
and it's
right,
not,
yeah,
again, that animal gave me unconditional love and saw me in my ugliest moments, like both mentally and physically, has seen me at my ugliest and loved me anyway. And there's that feeling of belonging with another living creature isn't something that can be replicated, really.
Right.
And you know what? Actually, the grief that we feel following the loss of these creatures, it's kind of reassuring to me for the human race that we can feel so strongly and so intensely about these other creatures, and that it sticks with us. It's not just, let's move on with our lives. And I think that's a positive thing about us, that we do care so much for them.
Yeah. Okay, before we run out of time, we're going to give people a few tips, though. There's some things you can do if you've lost a pet. These are some of the things I think you'll be probably talking about as well.
Right. I think there are other things that one can do. And I think talking with others and coming to a grief support group or talking to friends and family about the loss of the pet, it would help a lot. But let's say that's not right for you or you need more. So we'll just kind of chime in. Sure. I think when you lose a pet, to actually mark and acknowledge the occasion is really important. Mm-hmm. Rituals. We've been on the program before talking about how important rituals are and celebrating that person and celebrating the relationship. So I really encourage folks, when you lose a pet, is to take a moment, have a little ceremony, light a candle, scatter ashes, and really try to mark the moment. Mm-hmm.
Yep. You can also, if you want to, if you have the space, you can bury your pet. Mm-hmm. And you can have, in my garden, there is a place in the center of the garden, there is a bench and there is a tombstone, and it's to our beloved Molly.
Yeah.
Yep, and just it is legal to bury a pet on your own property. There are some stipulations. You have to bury at least 3 feet deep, and not in a floodplain or within 100 feet of surface waters. But it is totally legal.
It's legal. And a lot of us live in the countryside, so it's fine.
Yeah, and most gardens are probably, if you're going to do like what Astrid has done, you're going to be just fine.
Yeah,
I think it will be just fine.
It's going to be just fine. But you can, if you don't have the body, I wanted the body of that latest dog we had. I carried that body out. And we wanted the body with us. But then you can have ashes.
And if not, think about planting flowers. We have a neighbor who had a dog by the name of Daisies, and they have planted daisies in their garden ever since. A special place, a special bench. Some other remembrance, and I know that Spencer was talking about having your dog's tags on your keychain or something.
I keep my my dog buddy. He lived to be 16. He passed in 2020, 2020, and I have he had Addison's disease, and I have his little, I have Addison's, I need medication tag, and I keep it in my car, and he's just, he's not around, but he's with me, and again, those animals, I'm tearing up, but they see us in our darkest moments, and that dog's on me through puberty, so more props to him for never biting me, or but I keep him with me. I have my other dog, Trixie, who is his girlfriend. She passed at 4 years old when I was about 14, and I have her collar in my car too. So, it never goes away. You never stop loving them. I'm sorry.
You're totally fine. It is totally fine.
I have another idea. I mean, something that also people do when they lose a person, they may make a donation, like we get at Volunteer Hospice, we get donations of people who we have helped through their loss. It's the same for, a pet. You may want to make a donation to the organization that help you adopt them, maybe. I believe that OPHS is a nonprofit.
We are.
So they can take donations.
And, if it ever comes there, we also, if there are situations, and like you were talking about steps or ideas or tips for animals passing, if your animal does pass at your home, we at the Humane Society offer cremation services. If you need a place to take your deceased animal, even if you can't afford cremation services, you can bring them to us, and we can send them to the company we work with for free. That's not an issue. But I want people to know that they have a place to, if your animal passes in the night or just while you're watching. I'm so sorry.
Yeah. Well, it wasn't my dear wife. It was middle of the night, 2 a.m, by the way. She just happened to get up, have really bizarre things about alarms going off in our house that weren't set at the time. Little woo-woo-y, but I believe that
your
our
cat was like,
was
hey.
saying, I need you to check in because I'm checking out, this sort of thing.
But no, I want people to know that there are places that you can take them, and OPHS is one of those places, and we're more than happy to help you in those times of need.
It's tough. They just warm right into our little hearts, don't they?
They really do, and they never leave.
And they don't. I've got my memories of my little childhood, pets too that are still there, just as well. Toughest part, though, is after the fact, you just met no cat when I walked in the door that one day, the first day, and it was like, wow, that is tough. That's when it hit me. That's when the crying really started.
And it's those moments where, like, you're sitting in silence and there's no click-clack on the floor of nails coming up to say hi, and that's, there's nothing, there's a hollowness that you can't replicate, I don't think. So.
Well, I encourage people to check this out. There's a ton of pet lovers in this community, so I think there's probably going to be a lot of people that may take
I'm
you
new
up
to
on
town,
this.
and I don't think I've seen an empty back seat that doesn't have a dog in it since I moved here.
It's a thing, yeah. So 3 to 4:30 or so in the afternoons. Next one's coming up Monday the 13th, so the second Monday
of every month,
and that's going to be out at the OPHS Kitty City. That's 91 South Boys Road. That's right in Carlsberg. When you'll see it on the right if you're heading towards Squim.
And we're inviting folks. It's this drop-in. You don't need to register. We're inviting people to bring a memento of their companion pet. Like a photo or a collar or something, and as we go around we'll share kind of stories and that sort of thing. So
thanks for doing this. It's a big need.
It's a nice collaboration.
It's a great
We're really excited to work with Volunteer Hospice, and when Jeanette came to me, I was also like, this is an incredible idea. I was a part of a grief group in Salt Lake for pet loss, and I can't tell you healing is the wrong word because you never fully get over it, but there's a camaraderie and a sense of belonging that comes from talking to others who have lost animals. So
interesting. Thank you for setting this up and letting folks know that this is an opportunity, because it's like I said, I know a lot of people are. I should have brought this up earlier. That companion was their only companion. They may be a single person who's even elderly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's even tougher. Right.
And like Jeanette said, it can be a piece of, if they are widowed, it can be a piece of their partner that is their last piece of their partner. So we want to give people the opportunity to find community in loss and outside of it. So.
All right. Thank you so much, Spencer. Good to see you again.
Good to see you too, my friend.
Spencer, he's the executive director of the OPHS here, and Astrid Raffenfellows, it's so good to see you again. Don't wait 3 months to come back.
Okay, I'll come back soon. I'll make sure to
She's
come
quite
back soon.
busy, though. I'll give her a little bit of it, working with the volunteer stuff at Volunteer Hospice. And Jeanette Steer-Green, as always, thanks for organizing these and doing all that you're doing in every hat you wear.
A champion among
women.
women.
My regular co-host down here lately, but I appreciate it. All right, we're going to take a break and be back right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Hi, I'm John Holm, president of Tri-State Roofing, serving the Puget Sound since 2007. Tri-State Roofing is committed to making every step of the process stress-free. You'll have a dedicated production manager helping you with every aspect, start to finish. Right now, we're offering 0 down, 0 interest, and 0 payments for 6 months. Call Tri-State today, and we'll be out tomorrow.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
Hey there, Dawn Riling with Olympic Hot Tub. Ready to create your home wellness retreat? Whether you love a relaxing session in infrared or traditional steam heat, we have the perfect Hilo sauna waiting for you. Up your wellness game by building your own contrast therapy studio, featuring a new sauna and our amazing Vigor Cold Plunge. Buy both and save up to $5,000. Savings end April 30th. OlympicHotTub.com. Better you, better life.
Olympic Hot Tub.
It's time for your monthly Market Minute with critical insights from local real estate pro May Graves.
When getting your home ready for the market, make sure you do the following to sell faster. One little home selling hack almost nobody thinks of when they list their house. If you have a little covered space outdoors, really put some time and effort into making that an oasis. It could be your front porch, it could be the back porch, maybe a gazebo. Bring in some plants, bring in an area rug, a seating arrangement, maybe a little water feature, a fire pit, even those flicker candles with the batteries. You get the idea. It doesn't have to cost a lot, but everyone wants a little oasis when they get home from a busy day. A place to wind down with a beverage, maybe some music. Make sure to capitalize on that space. It's like adding garnish to a steak. If you want more information on buying or selling real estate in Port Angeles and Sequim, call me. It's May Graves, Realtor, 360-461-1922.
Your birth experience should feel like yours. Come meet the midwives who can make that happen. Meet Our Midwives is a free monthly open house at Olympic Medical Center, where you can get to know our certified nurse midwives, tour our birth center, and start planning the birth that feels right for you. Join us the first Tuesday of every month at 5:30 p.m. in the Olympic Memorial Hospital Sunroom. Learn more at olympicmedical.org/meetourmidwives.
Todd Ortloff now with a word for Olympic Peninsula title. They don't just have customers, they have raving fans. Yeah, for over 40 years, they've been earning the repeat business of their customers by treating them with respect, delivering what they promise, prioritizing the security of customers' funds and information, and always providing service with a smile. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title and see for yourself why they've earned over 500 five-star reviews, and they've been voted best title company in Clallam County over and over again.
Your community-minded friends at First Fed bring you the Community Corner, highlighting good things happening right here in our area.
Your friends at First Fed are committed to continue their more than 100-year tradition of giving back to the community they serve. In that same spirit, we take this moment to spotlight those doing great things in our area, like Betsy Schultz and her team at the Captain Joseph House in Port Angeles. Captain Joseph House is an area landmark that's been converted to a safe and peaceful retreat for Gold Star families who've lost a family member in military combat serving our country. Betsy has created an environment for families on their journey of healing to become empowered survivors. Captain Joseph House honors our fallen heroes and their families, providing a respite where friendships can take root and families draw strength from each other. They're a volunteer-powered organization If you'd like to help or learn more, their email is captainjosephhouse@cjhf.org. Something we actually talked about a little bit ago. I threatened that we would be bringing these people back to talk about it once it got its legs under it and actually launched here, and that's the Nesterly program, which is a share-at-home sort of thing that we chatted with Nancy Steffens about a couple months ago, and she was really starting to put that out, and at that point, we're still trying to get approval from Nesterly. That has happened, and now it's launched here in the Port Angeles area. So Nancy joins us again. Hi, Nancy. Good to see you again.
Good to be
and
here.
Along with her is Mark Abshire, who's with the Chamber of Commerce, of course, because the Chamber has kind of gotten itself involved with this as a supportive role as well. So, Mark, good to see you again as well.
Great to be here.
Nancy, let's roll back. For those who maybe missed us the first time we talked, what is Nesterly? What is this? And really, it's a way to kind of try to address some of the housing shortage locally.
Yes, and to bring down the cost of housing, which is the big concern here for so many people. So home sharing, again, is defined as renting a bedroom, and if there's an adjoining bathroom, fantastic. If not, you share the bathroom with your guest to someone that you are not related to. And it's been very popular worldwide. It's just starting to catch on in the United States. But I saw an article a year ago on Vox.net that claims there are 44 million empty bedrooms in this country. And that's because when most of these houses were built, you had the nuclear family with the parents and a couple of kids. Everybody had their own bedroom. The kids grow up, and now the bedrooms are empty. So the idea is that if we could just rent, say, 10% of those, we could largely solve the housing affordability crisis in this country. And certainly in this county, that is very important. In the U.S. as well as here, the largest group of newly homeless people are senior women over 60. And that's because their Social Security checks are too small. They can't keep up with the cost of rent now. So if people would just be willing to trust a partner that has shown integrity and a very comprehensive program, which is Nesterly, and try this out, I think it would do a lot of good.
And that's kind of the part of this is that it's built on, so this isn't just a private transaction per se. There's a whole bunch of clearance, if you will. People are vetted.
Right.
Right.
So Nesterly requires 2 references for everyone who participates in their program, the homeowner as well as the guest, which is what they call the tenant. And they call those references to make sure that you really are as good as you say you are. And then everybody goes through the same background checks. So that's criminal, sex offender, frequent address change, and Social Security number verification. And as long as you pass that, you can participate in their program. And it's free to use until you sign a contract. So you can go browse on their site right now. Our region is called Olympic Peninsula. And you can say browse listings and you'll see what's up there. And last week we had 2 already. Mark signed the contract with them on January 7th, and they did the onboarding during the rest of January, and it went live on February 4th.
Okay. So we're officially just under a month into this thing with it going. So Mark, let's talk a bit about how the Chamber's plugged into this.
Yeah, we got involved because Nancy came and talked to us. Actually, she presented one of our chamber luncheons, and we immediately kind of saw this as really more than a social issue, an actual economic issue, because housing is critical for our workforce. It's critical for our companies here in town. It's a challenge here locally, not just affordability, which is clearly a challenge, but also availability. And like Nancy referenced, there's a lot of empty rooms around, and a lot of people maybe living alone that could use some extra bucks and maybe some extra support in the home. And there's a lot of young folks and others who are needing rooms, needing housing. And so the Chamber stepped forward and partnered with, Clown County United Way. Sorry, Clown County United Way. They're a partner in this as well, and worked with Randy Johnson and a bunch of others. Serenity House and a bunch of other organizations have been involved in this process, but the Chamber stepped forward and said, we'll be the ones that will sign this contract, because they needed an entity to be the sponsor entity, a nonprofit preferably. And so it just seemed like a perfect fit for us. And so We are working with Nancy, and we are promoting this because we really feel like if this can take off, it really, it's not going to solve. It will not solve the affordability or the availability problem. But we view it as a small piece of what there's housing is a complex issue, and there are going to be several solutions to the larger complex problem. And this is just one small little slice of the solution pie, if you will. So, we're pretty excited about the prospects here.
Nancy, what is the difference between going on with a program like this and just becoming your own landlord, doing this on your own? Some people may say, well, why aren't people just doing this? You probably could just do it on your own, but
You can, and certainly people have, using Craigslist, but then you have to come up with your own way to do the background checks. You have to pay for them yourself. You have to come up with your own contract or pay for that. And there's no social support in terms of dispute resolution, and Nesterly offers all of that. They have social workers who are their employees who call their clients every month to make sure things are going well. And if some kind of a disagreement arises in the meantime, you can call them and say, hey, could you help us mediate this? Could you help us figure this out? And Nesterly's been in operation since 2017 in a number of different jurisdictions in this country, and they have never had an eviction. So I think their vetting process
That's a big deal.
and their social support is just top notch.
How flexible typically are some of these contracts? I mean, how long term, how short term can these be?
So this is not short-term rental. It has to be at least 1 month. It can be anywhere from 1 month to 1 year. And again, it's completely free to use the platform until you sign a contract. If it's a short-term contract for 3 months or less, the fee is $95 to each person, the homeowner and the tenant.
Okay, so each side will pay $95 once.
One-time fee.
Okay.
Right. And then Nesterly keeps 2.5% of the agreed-upon rent. And the homeowner never has to ask the tenant for rent because Nesterly uses a financial services company called Stripe that gets the bank account information of both parties. They remove the agreed-upon rent from the renter's account 3 days before the end of the month. They send that 2.5% to Nesterly, and the rest goes into the homeowner's account on the first day of the next month. So you never have to ask for money. That's a big perk in my mind.
Right.
And then if you have a longer-term lease, probably 9 to 12 months, that price to each is $195.
Okay.
And that's it.
And does that then, what if it's working out great and you want to go more years after that?
You
just
can renew.
You
renew.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right. In your research, I mean, obviously you've called around different communities. Have there been places, size similar to this that you talked with about how it's working for them?
I think the place where Randy Johnson did some of this research, actually, where he saw the most listings was in Maine. And interestingly enough, Nesterly covers the entire state of Maine.
Okay, so like you have the Olympic Peninsula. This one is Maine, whole state.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it just depends on who the partner agency is,
Right.
But he saw several there, and people ask me about the average rent. So again, it just depends on where you are and what you need. You set that yourself. But Nesterly encourages you to use Task Exchange to bring down the actual cost of the financial rent.
Talk a bit about that because that's a unique part of this is that, yes, it's a financial thing, but it also could be an opportunity. Say you need some help with chores around your place.
Yeah.
Maybe you're not able to do some gardening or some landscape work.
Yeah,
Somebody might exchange some of their rent for that, right?
Exactly, yeah. So lawn care or snow shoveling or maybe some transportation or some cooking or some cleaning could be negotiated. And something else that I want younger people to think about if they have preschool-age children especially would be who can afford daycare? Nobody.
You might get a little help there, right?
So maybe the parent can't work right now because they have 2 or 3 preschool-age children. Well, what about if you rented one of the houses in your house to a retired educator and the Task Exchange was they act as a live-in nanny for your family? Then you could go back to work. You charge that person Nesterly's minimum, which is only $200 a month, to cover the water and the electricity they would use, and the rest of their rent is paid in service to you as a live-in nanny. That would be fantastic.
Yeah, I can see how that could work really well for some folks. Speaking of the contract, does Nesterly kind of supply a standardized contract? Because some people get a little bit the legal stuff.
They supply the contracts, and their social workers will help you craft the conditions, the house rules, if you will, for that. And you need to be very specific. You need to be really thoughtful about that. What are the things you must have? What are the things you cannot live with? And you need to discuss that with your prospective tenant before you sign a contract with them and make sure you're both on the same page. And then I personally would get all that stuff written into the contract.
And they do, and they're very thorough about it, which is why they've never had a conviction. I mean, they do a lot of the upfront work, and they do that for you, which is pretty nice. Reminds me of in the early days when we started doing Uber and even Airbnb, where people. You get a reputation, if you will, so you can see if your Uber driver is on.
Yeah, got a 5-star rating or whatever.
Yeah,
right?
everybody got ratings, right? Well, this kind of is piggybacking off of that sort of a vetting of each other and a rating system where you kind of know who's legitimate, who's a problem, that kind of stuff. So you get past all of that. It's a nice service.
Nancy, it's really driven, though, to kind of singles, it sounds like. I mean, where you've got a bedroom. But are there, people that come, maybe it's a couple that rents in this? Can that happen?
Or two single-parent families could share a house?
That can happen.
There are no limits. Yeah.
Got it.
You have to be 18. You have to be 18 or older.
That's kind of the one rule, right?
And the tenant cannot be a caregiver for the person.
Okay.
Master lease liability insurance does not cover that. But anything else is good.
Very interesting.
Quote unquote official caregiver. That doesn't mean you can't be someone that provides care in the terms of like making meals or reminding of when they should take their medications, all that sort of thing, whatever it might be. But they're not officially a caregiver.
Right. Yeah. So you don't help the person toilet or bathe or that kind of stuff.
And also not be getting some sort of state assistance because you're doing that. That's the other thing. I think the bugaboo in that it'd be a double dip if that happened. So you've got two signups already, is that right?
We have two listings.
Two listings. So these are people that have a house that or a room in their house. I guess I'm going to go back and talk about these. Could you have an adjacent place? I'm just wondering, maybe you got the old ADU that now is empty. Could that be?
Yes, rented? As long as you live on the property.
It's just on the property, right?
So if you live on in the house and you've got an ADU, you can rent the ADU. Or if you're by yourself and you don't want to live in a big house, you can live in the ADU and you can rent the house.
Okay.
And you can have more than one tenant.
That was my next question. If you have multiple rooms available, I could have two or three different folks if it worked out. Great.
Or you could rent more than one room to one tenant.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right.
If that situation came up, but you could do that. There's not a limit to that either.
Okay. I know there's been questions people have been posting on our social media when we did the story about this launching, saying, okay, then what's the difference between this being a short-term rental? I mean, how do you not have to follow those rules like in the city of PA?
Well, I know for short-term, you don't have to live on the property.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
For this, you have to live on the property.
Okay. Right. And short-term rental is 30 days or fewer. So it's it has to be at least 30 days. So this is technically a long-term rental.
And I know, and we talked Nancy before, that this has become kind of I'm going to say popular really for like traveling nurses, people who might be doing work for under a year perhaps in a community and when they're looking for a place.
Yes, exactly. So temporary workers, and if their term of service to, say, OMC was extended from 3 months to 6 months, you could just renew that lease for another 3 months.
Okay.
But there's no reason, speaking of Airbnb, that short-term rental people can't use this for long-term rentals.
That's what I was wondering.
As long as they live on the property.
Right? Yeah.
As long as you live on the property.
If you're a short-term rental owner that you live on the proproperty, yes, you could do. You could convert it to a long-term if you'd like.
Or you could do half the year as this, and then STRs for the other part if you wanted to do that as well.
For the STR part, you'd have to have the license through the city, however.
Exactly.
But you could do that.
All right. We're going to take a break, and then we're going to talk a bit about how, because part of the reason we have you both here is to get people to sign up or peruse this a little bit, and maybe some, I won't say incentive, but just some ideas for people to hop on and how they can do that. When we return, we're talking with Nancy Steffens, who's helped organize this Nesterly thing. It went quickly, actually, I have to say, from the time I first heard about it to you getting it launched, so that's great. And Mark Abshire from the Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce is one of the sponsoring agencies behind this, talking about this home sharing program here locally. We'll talk more about it right after this.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Home affordability. Yes, it does exist here on the peninsula with Mountain View Homes. Looking for a quality craftsmanship home at 40% less than stick-built? Call Mountain View Homes. We specialize in affordable homes with full-service land packages, dirt to turnkey, quality, beautiful, and an efficient manufactured home on the site of your choice. Mountain View Homes has 3 locations to serve you, including Carlsberg. Visit mtviewhomes.com. That's mtviewhomes.com.
Hi, it's Callie here from the Heartline. We're excited to be celebrating our 50th anniversary. To say thank you for a great 50 years, we're offering you 50 days of savings. Are you refreshing your yard or getting that garden ready for spring? Come in and get 50% off medium bark at the Heartline. That's right, 50 years, 50 days, 50% savings. Stop by or give a call, 452-3157. 452-3157. The Heartline, top of the truck route.
Are you in love with your pickup? This is Dale from Wilder Auto, and we Northwesterners love our trucks. They tow our boat or trailer, haul our treasures, and get us there safely in snowy weather. We've got a lineup that you'll fall in love with, too. From the Tundra or Tacoma to the Titan or Frontier, the Honda Ridgeline to our full lineup of Ram trucks, we have great options for you. New or used, plus the Wilder Advantage. We'd love it if you'd stop by and check us out or 24/7 at wilderauto.com.
At Olympic Peninsula Title, good old-fashioned customer service never goes out of style. We've been closing real estate transactions in Clallam County for over 40 years and have earned the repeat business of our customers because we treat people with respect, put the security of our customers' funds and information as priority number 1, and always provide service with a smile. When it's time to choose a title company to close your transaction, opt for Olympic Peninsula Title and see why we've been voted the best title company in Clallam County over and over again.
Hi everyone, it's Alicia Campion with Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative. We're a worker-owned cooperative. Our caregivers are owners, focused on dignity, trust, and supporting loved ones at home. Accepting care is about independence, not weakness. We care and support the life someone has already built. Join our team or trust us with your loved one's care. We're Ridgeline Home Care Cooperative with you at home. Call 360-504-3837.
Hi, this is John Holm, President of Tri-State Roofing, your local and family-owned company covering the entire Olympic Peninsula area. The difference with Tri-State Roofing is we separate ourselves with the quality of products we offer, customer service, including an A+ rating with the BBB, solid safety plans, and the best labor guarantees around. Call 360-208-2222.
Tri-State Roofing, we got you covered.
And back with more, talking about maybe one piece of the puzzle to address some of the affordability issue here in housing, and that is what's a home sharing program. It's run by a company called Nesterly and is sponsored locally by the Port Angeles Chamber of Commerce and United Way of Clallam County. We've got some folks very much involved with this. Nancy Steffens joins us, who was the one who was researched this and kind of brought it forth to the community. And Mark Abshire from the Chamber here to talk a bit about why they jumped on as one of the sponsoring group, I guess, as a nonprofit there, too. One of the interesting things we talked during the break, there's only 2 of these programs west of the Mississippi right now. Mm-hmm. Tell us more.
One of them is Bellingham, and the other is the Olympic Peninsula. And those are the only 2 west of the Mississippi. Everything else is East Coast, Maine and Boston area. I can't try to think of the other. New York, upstate New York. A bunch. There's several. Nashville. So
okay.
Yeah, and it's growing. It's a growing and popular. We're actually kind of we could qualify as early adopters of this program.
Sure.
But it's forward. It's very well organized, very well established, and it's going really well so far.
It's a psychological switch, though, that you have to kind of get people to think about. We talked as we went to the break that it's getting folks to get out of kind of a thought of this. I mean, most people realistically don't think I'm going to open my house up to a quote-unquote stranger.
Correct.
Right. So how do you get people over that hump?
You just have to remember the phrase, a stranger is a friend I haven't met yet. And, when you grew up in a house with other people that set the rules, and you learned how to live in those rules, didn't you? So you don't have to live alone now. And I would encourage anyone who is living alone, whether because of divorce or being widowed, to really think about just reaching out to your friends as the first start, or the people in your church or your social organizations. Find out who is renting, who is not. Find out who is struggling to make ends meet. Who is going to the food bank this year who didn't have to last year? If we could just reach out to people and say, hey, you know, I like you. Do you like me? Could we live together and share some expenses? And then maybe you wouldn't have to go to the food bank. There's all kinds of people that this can help. And I also want to point out that a lot of folks that I had talked to before who said, gosh, I'd like to do this, but I live in a homeowners association and it says only single family can live there. That's not true anymore. I found out from Ryan O'Connor, who is the legislative assistant for Representative Adam Birnbaum, that a law was passed in June of 2024 that says homeowners associations cannot enforce single-family restrictions on who lives on that lot.
In Washington State.
In Washington State.
Okay. So you could do this if you
applies to all of Washington. If we can get this to spread, there are many, many homeowners associations, but they cannot enforce that rule anymore. And so if you want to do this and you're in a homeowners association, you can do it. And the RCW is 64.38.170. And it was in the recent article published in the PDN last Friday, if you want to reference that as well.
All right, so how do we do this? Before we run out of time, what should folks do? Hop on Nesterly.com, I guess, might be the first step.
Yes.
Regardless, if you've got a house or if you're looking to maybe be a renter.
Yeah, go there, and in the upper right-hand corner of Nesterly.com's homepage, you'll see a little button that says Sign Up. And so you create an account with your phone number and your email address, and then you can scroll down there, look for select your city, and under that there's a drop-down menu, and we are the Olympic Peninsula. So when you click on that, you can browse the listings, or you can start to create one of your own. It's very simple. They ask you to upload 2 or 3 pictures of what you're going to rent, and if you don't have a smartphone or a computer that you can do that from yourself, you can actually have a friend take those pictures and then email them to Nesterly at hello@nesterly.com. Identify that it's for your account, and they will post them for you. And just get all the
They'll do
details
the
in
website updates for you.
And there's not really a stipulation. Some people may be going, well, I don't have a lot of room, or I don't have you don't have to have like a separate kitchen and a separate bathroom necessarily, right? Yeah.
No. You're going to share the public spaces of the house. That's the whole idea. And, you know, if you want a students don't have much in terms of property to put in there.
Yeah.
If it's someone who has recently become widowed or divorced, you're going to have to discuss where they're going to store their household items. There might be room in your place, there might not. They might need to get a rental space, you know, just one of those, what are they called?
Like a pod or whatever.
Stuff.
Storage unit. Something like that.
Rent a storage unit, but those are all details you would work out once you found someone that you thought you could live with.
Yeah, there's another demographic that also I think could benefit from this a lot, and it's not people that necessarily need the help financially to have a roommate, but also people that maybe just travel a lot and they have animals at home or something else that needs care or watching over. Maybe it's just their property; they don't want to leave it alone. So if you have someone living there with you, you take off. You don't have to pay kennel fees or worry about the pets. You got your roommate there that's going to take care of that for you while you're gone.
Yeah.
Water your plants. Yeah.
Water your plants, exactly, all that.
Well, I hope this takes off. I think it probably will. People just kind of have to absorb it just a little bit and start realizing.
It's going to take a little bit for people to kind of warm up to it, but I think I agree, Todd. I think it has a great potential.
All right, Mark Abshire, great to have you. Thanks for coming by, and Nancy Steffens, good to see you again as well.
Yeah.
Thanks for kind of
thank you, Nancy,
parading this through to us.
Maybe we'll be back when we have a couple of matches.
I would love to talk about that.
Stories.
Maybe, yeah. Let's do it again. Nesterly.com. You can also go to the Chamber's website. They got a link there at portangeles.org, and you can hop on there for free right now and just kind of peruse it yourself. It could be a good fit for you on either side of that equation. All right, we're going to take a break. Be back with more in just a moment.
This is the Todd Ortloff Show on News Radio KONP.
Let Olympic help you create the ultimate home contrast therapy studio. Pair a relaxing Tilo sauna with our revitalizing Vigor cold plunge. Save up to $5,000 when you buy both. These massive savings end April 30th.
One sip of tropical lime-flavored Mountain Dew Baja Blast will turn this into this. Your barbecue into a cabana. And your backyard into an island oasis. With a blast of tropical lime flavor, you can bring the beach vibes with you everywhere. Grab some friends and ice-cold Mountain Dew Baja Blast today. Do the do.
You call one company, no answer. Another promises a quote, but never follows through. And when you finally get somebody, they show up late and their quality is suspect. Does this sound familiar? At Hartnagel Glassworks, we've heard how frustrating it is to find skilled, reliable help. That's why our employee-owned team shows up on time, does the job right, and treats your home with the care it deserves. You know us for window repair and installation, but our expertise goes far beyond that. We also install shower doors and enclosures, glass and cable railings, solar tubes and skylights, and we even sell and install exterior doors. Our customers trust us, and it shows. We have a 100% 5-star rating on Google. So when you're ready for reliable service from a team that shows up and gets it right, call Hartnagel Glassworks. Visit hbsglassworks.com, that's hbsglassworks.com, for more info. And as always, we deeply appreciate you for shopping local and employee-owned.
Looking for the next place to call home? Come tour Lavender Meadows in Sequim. Beautiful, affordable homes for active 55-plus adults. Our modern, low-maintenance homes give you more time to enjoy life. More than a home, you'll enjoy community, active lifestyle, value, and security. We're confident you'll appreciate the modern amenities too. Come tour Lavender Meadows in Sequim or online at lavendermeadowsmhc.com.
The North Peninsula's news, the North Peninsula's talk. News Radio KONP, Port Angela Sequim. A radio
From ABC News, I'm Michelle Franzen. The temporary ceasefire between the U.S. and Iran runs out in just a matter of days, and President Trump signaled that extensions are unlikely. Talks are not firmed up, but two U.S. officials familiar with plans say Vice President J.D.